Hello, hello. My name is Jennifer, and I'm from Jen the Bookworm, and welcome to my brand new Booktube channel. I am so excited to come to you in this format to maybe take up a little slice of Booktube and call it my own, and talk to you about books and just have discussions. People who love books as much as I do, and so I've decided to come today with the Booktube Newbie Tag and answer the 10 or so questions that there are so that you can get to know me and I can get some experience in doing this. I've never done something like this before, probably shows. But I have my laptop over here to the side, so you'll see me kind of look off to the side because I'm looking at my questions and sort of the notes that I wrote about my answers so I wouldn't freeze up. Which doesn't mean I won't freeze up, but so let's get into it. The first question in this questionnaire is, why did you start this channel? And I probably just kind of already said it, but I started this channel because I really love to read. And I've always loved to read since I was very young. I've loved to read. And I always carried a book around with me. As soon as I understood that words put together made sentences, and those sentences made stories, and those stories could transport you, I loved reading. I was hooked. And I always had books with me. When I went to school, I always carried a extra fiction book with me, so I'd have my stack of school books, and then on top of it would be my book, whatever book I was reading. And on the unfortunate times when I was almost to the end of my book, but I couldn't finish it at home, pre-Kindle days when, you had to deal with these kinds of problems, I would have two books. The book that I was surely going to finish before school was out, and then the book that I was going to pick up right afterwards. Yeah, I always had books with me, and I've always loved to read, but there's been a time period in my life, a lull, in which I stopped reading or stopped really reading new things, where I pick up same old things that I love to read and not really venture out. And so part of the reason why I want to start this channel is to motivate me to read more. And I really want to expand my library, and I want to become part of the discussion. People are on here having all these discussions, and I want to be a part of it. So I'm excited to do that. And I would love to make friends and join a community of book-minded people. I actually am blessed to be surrounded by people who do like to read. I have family that loves to read, and my partner loves to read. We don't always love to read the same things, and we don't always love to talk about the books. It's just not as interesting to them what I'm reading, or maybe it is interesting, but it's not, they're not there, their mind is in what they're reading or whatever. I want to be able to talk about my reading journey, and I want to be able to analyze and maybe talk more about the book than they would want to hear. So this channel is a way for me to do that. And to be honest, I am new to BookTube in all aspects. I have only learned about BookTube May of 2022. So I didn't even know that this community existed. And when I found it, I was so hooked. And these people are doing the same thing. And BookTube, what's BookTube? And I started watching these videos, and I started having such envy for the comfortable way that they tell their story and talk about the stories that they're reading, and the books. Oh, you'll see behind me I do not have a bookshelf full of books, and I'll explain a little bit why in the next question. So let's get to the next question. The next question is, what are some fun and unique things that you can bring to BookTube? I know from watching videos and other booktubers and videos on how to become a booktuber, I know the market is saturated. So what can I bring to it? Maybe nothing terribly unique. Wanting to read books and discuss books. That's what all of us are doing, right? But I think that I'm a very shy and introverted person, but I do think I have a fun personality. So hopefully that personality comes through and resonates with people, and so I hope that me will be fun and unique, something I can bring to YouTube. But also, I need to approach reading books differently now than I did when I was younger, and differently than a lot of people on BookTube do. I have a fairly severe sight impairment at this point. The older I'm getting, the worse it's getting. I can't read printed books anymore. I used to be one of those people who had a beautiful library of books. They weren't all hardback books because I could never afford them, but I used to have tons and tons of books. But it was no longer possible for me to read printed word very comfortably. If I do it for very long, then I really hurt my eyes, give myself headaches, and it's not fun. So I don't want that to be the reason why I don't read books anymore. I love reading books. And so I switched to a Kindle reader because I can change the font on that, and that makes it much more comfortable. But for other reasons, sometimes I don't have the time, or I can't set aside the time to dedicate to reading. My eyesight is not great, and so I found audiobooks to be a game changer for me. I found audiobooks to be perfect because whenever I read a book, I see a movie in my head, and whenever I hear a book, it's the same. It's very interactive for me, and so long as the narrator is good, the voice actor is good, knows their thing, or voice actors, I can be sucked in so hard. I love audiobooks, and I know that some people don't think that audiobook reading is real reading, and to that I have to say I am being exposed every bit as much to the content as everyone else is, and more so than I would be able to if I wasn't using audiobooks. So, and I don't regret, I mean, I do regret the visual impairment, but I don't regret the audiobooks. I love them, and I feel like, I don't know, it feels like they're putting on a show for me when it's done right, you know? I feel connected, I guess is a better way to say, to the material, and it helps me to feel the emotions behind it, and helps me to pronounce some of the words. So I'm going to be really rating the narrators and talking about the narration or the quality of the audiobook. I usually use Audibles, but that's an aspect to the review that I will be bringing. Because of my visual impairment, because I can't read the printed word, I did end up to save space and such, give away many of my books. I still have a small collection of printed books that I could not part with, but I don't have any, and so I don't have that very colorful and interesting backdrop. And I've been struggling with, what am I going to do? It was suggested maybe just buy some books for the backdrop, but I don't want to do that. I can't read them. There's no point in wasting the money on them. And I want to be authentically me. It's very important to me to be authentically me. And my idea is to dress up this wall back here with maybe some lights and maybe some posters, maybe some things about reading. Make it more colorful, because right now it's pretty bland. This room used to be my daughter's room, so I don't know if you can see, but I've got stickers on the wall, little stickers um, stars and things like that, and so it needs to be cleaned up, and that'll be something that I will build as I'm building my channel. I have a 10-year-old daughter, and she has autism, and she really struggled to find her ability to read. And she's a really good reader now, and she's a very precocious child, and she loves YouTube. She wants to be a YouTuber of any sort. Anyway, she enjoys all those things, and I was hoping that having her on the channel with me to buddy read and review some middle grade young adult books would encourage her to read more, and might be a fun little thing for you to see the interaction between us, but also the enthusiasm for which she might have for a book, the target audience of the book. So I'm hoping that as I grow the channel, I might be able to have her come on, and that would be a unique and interesting thing for some of you to see. Let's see, the next question. What are you most excited about with BookTube? I am excited to make new friends that also love to read. If you're watching this and you're a booktuber also, and you want to talk about things, or you want to comment, I'm excited to get into buddy reading. I'm excited to get into sprints and things like that. I see this kind of stuff happening in other people's channels, and it's exciting. And so I'm hoping to do that. I'm hoping to read a lot more books. Right now, looking at what I've read for 2022, I have reread quite a lot of books, and I've only recently started getting into new books, and I'm hoping to do a lot more of that, because some of the books that I've gotten into, that I've read, are just phenomenal, and it's things I didn't know. Like, I want more of find this book, love this book, be exposed to new things. And I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel. If you'd have asked me even earlier this year if I would have started a YouTube channel, it would be a Minecraft channel. I love Minecraft. I like video games, and Minecraft is my favorite, and I spend a lot of time on Minecraft. So I'm very surprised to be doing a YouTube channel that isn't Minecraft. But I've always wanted to do a YouTube channel, but I never had the confidence or know-how to get started. And fortunately, Booktube is pretty light on the equipment needed that you need to buy in ahead of time. I am sure that over time I'm going to get myself like a mic. I might, buy a ring light, but I live in the Pacific Northwest, and all this natural sunlight that's coming in right now is obscured for a lot of the time. It's very rainy here and cloudy and gloomy. So I might have to buy things, but it's not, there wasn't a whole lot of upfront investment, and I really love that it's so accessible to anybody, and so here I am. The next question is, why do I love reading? I've always loved to read. I've always been very impacted by things that I've read. When I was a teenager, it was not uncommon for me to come home from school on a Friday night. This is how cool I was. 16-year-old me, come home from school on Friday and read and read and read. Go to sleep, get up Saturday morning, pick my book back up, and this was my weekend. And it was not an uncommon thing for me to go to school on Monday and my friends say, "What'd you do this weekend?" and be like, "I read a book. I read a couple books." I think that reading really helped me to school. I think that reading, as a 9-year-old kid, I had one of the biggest things that adult strangers would always comment is what a vocabulary I had. I always had a big vocabulary. I don't have a big vocabulary now, I guess. I've grown into it, but It helped me to learn to spell. It helped me to learn concepts that were difficult for teachers to teach me. It taught me about history in a fun way. It taught me about relationships in a more safe way. Um, I have learned so much. Plus, I mean, it's escapism. Everyone loves a little bit of escapism, especially if you've had any kind of difficulties in your life, and who hasn't? And I've had my share, and I've always enjoyed the ability to pick up a book and not mentally be wherever I am. Mentally, I'm with vampires or whatever I was reading at the time. So I love to read, and that's why. And the next question, what books or series got you into reading? Okay, so I've watched a fair number of Booktube Newbie Tag videos that people have put out. And a lot of people are Harry Potter or Twilight or whatever. I am a little bit older than some of the people who are doing Booktube. And so Nancy Drew, Sweet Valley High, if you've ever heard of that. These are the books that I read when I was junior high. Then after that, I read what I had access to, which was my mom's books. Fortunately, my mom was a big reader and always had been through my whole life, and she still reads now. But what she read was romance. And that's what she filled the house with, was that. She didn't read a lot of other. And so when I wanted to read something new, I read from her library. So I read a lot of romance when I was young. And then I was introduced to Interview with a Vampire. But I loved the book, and I loved Anne Rice and her prose, and she just has a very elegant way of writing, and it really drew me in, and I fell in love with that series. So these were kind of the things that got me into reading, or kept me into reading, and I have since really expanded. I don't read a lot of the romance anymore. I read mostly sci-fi fantasy, I read horror, I read suspense, and I read urban fantasy. That's what I read primarily, but some YA books, like Hunger Games and Harry Potter and Divergent and those kinds of things were books that I read and have for the most part enjoyed. So the next question is, what question would you ask your favorite booktubers? And two questions. Hopefully not sounding too pathetic, but would you be my friend? That's really what I want. I want to be friends with you guys. You guys all seem so cool and so knowledgeable and so analytical, and you make me think. I love to be challenged. I love to be around people who make me think. And I've watched some of you, and you've really made me think in a different level about the books that you've read, that I've also read. And some of you haven't liked what I like. And I'm okay with that. I honestly want to read. If you don't like something that I liked, I want to read why and see if maybe there's something to that. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to change the way I feel about it, but I kind of like to have a more holistic exposure to the book. I want to know, not just from my point of view, but from other people's point of view, about what worked and what didn't work for them, and it makes me think, and I learn that way. So be my friends. Be my friends. Talk about books with me. That's the first thing. The second thing I think I would ask is, how do you read so much? I just don't. I'm not a fast reader. when I start doing TBR books or TBR videos and end of the month wrap ups and stuff like that, you're not going to see 30 books. I just don't have that kind of ability. At least not now. Maybe I will develop the ability to read that fast, but I kind of doubt it. Especially because I access my books through audio books more often than not. And as it's been pointed out to me in other videos, you can read faster with your eyes than you can listen. And I'm not one of those that turn up the speed past 1 because I want to hear the dramatization. I want to hear the acting ability of the narrator. I want to be immersed. And if they sound like chipmunks, I'm not going to be able to concentrate on what they're saying. So I don't speed it up. So I won't be able to get to as many books in a month, and that's fine. Is what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? You're looking at it. The filming part. That's going to be the hardest thing for me. I think the hardest struggles will be self-confidence. I've not been known for having an overabundance of self-confidence, and this is kind of scary to me. I'm not very comfortable on the camera, and it probably shows. I'm hoping to become more comfortable. I'm hoping that I'm coming across conversational in my head. I'm sort of right now panicking, but I hope that doesn't come through. I hope that I am not so afraid to relax, to become conversational, that my personality doesn't come through. I hope that that doesn't happen. I hope that I'm able to show you that I can be a fun person and have, whatever. But seeing myself on camera, I have body issues. I have confidence issues. That's probably the thing that is the scariest to me is that. But it's also important to me to be authentically me, and I have a tendency to, I've watched quite a lot of booktube recently, and a lot of them, they have, full face makeup on, and they've curled their hair, and they look gorgeous, and this is how they're dressing to read a book. This is how they're dressing to be on YouTube, but this may be how they dress day to day. This that you see right now, I don't wear makeup. I'm kind of allergic to it. I do occasionally wear like foundation or something, but I'm allergic to makeup. It makes me cry, tear up a lot, and I'm already kind of doing this quite a bit, and I'll be just painting my face with mascara if I keep that up, if I'm wearing it. And so I don't want to turn into someone that I'm not. I don't want to, and especially it will be a barrier to doing booktube, to doing YouTube, if I have to spend an hour doing my hair and makeup before I do a video. And I've seen a couple of people who are more, they don't wear makeup and stuff, or they don't wear a lot of makeup, and they just say, my hair is what it is and whatever, and this is what I'm doing today, and so I didn't dress up, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt and whatever. I want to be more like that, because that's me in real life. I want to be like that on YouTube, because I really think that will make me come across more comfortable, more authentic. Just being authentic is important to me. Not putting a bunch of books in the background that I can't read, not painting my face in a way that's uncomfortable for me, or that, might make me, look a certain way, but I wouldn't feel comfortable. I'm already a little uncomfortable, so being authentic and being as comfortable as I can, and authentic with my personality, being a person who doesn't have a ton of confidence, you tend to question, will they like me, and will I be good enough, and all those things that, a lot of people struggle with. And so I think that will be my biggest struggle with starting and maintaining a YouTube channel. But I'm looking to overcome. I'm here for it. I'm here to overcome it. I'm here to expand my horizons and hopefully overcome some of those issues. Also, I don't know, I'm 45, and I'm not ashamed to be 45. A lot of people don't like to say their age. I'm okay with it. I have survived 45 years. I'm good with that. But being a little bit older than some people might make it harder for us to connect or to relate, and I hope that that's not true. When did I start reading? And I've always been an introverted person who loves to be at home more than to go out. That's me, and it's still me, and so getting me to read was not hard. The next question, what kind of books do you like to read? I've already kind of gone over that. Primarily fantasy, a little bit of sci-fi, but I dip my toe into sci-fi, but I don't, it goes over my head quite a lot. I love Star Wars rather than Star Trek, although I do love Star Trek, but I prefer Star Wars to Star Trek because there's more fantasy and less science. It goes over my head, but I do like some. I still like some romance. I don't read a lot of the old romance. Sometimes I do. I did go through a whole period last year where I was rereading some of my favorite romance author, G. Devereaux, and I was rereading a lot of her books, and I love her books, and mostly I love her books because I can, it's like a bridge that connects me to my younger self. I remember having read them before and loved them before. So, I do read some nonfiction. I love a good self-help book or a good motivating book. I love good memoirs of people that I find interesting. And so I will occasionally read those. Sometimes I'll read those. I'll go through a period of time where I'm reading those a lot more than regular fiction because you don't really have to concentrate too hard. You don't have to, you're not trying to figure out a story and a character and a plot. You're just listening to someone else tell their story, and that can be sometimes a lot easier to unpack. And there's some really good self-help books out there that I have enjoyed reading to get other people's perspective on things and to, you know, maybe help myself with whatever it is I'm feeling like I'm lacking that day, you know. And the last question, what does your book collection look like? It looks kind of bare. It looks like an Audible account is what it looks like, and it looks like a Kindle full of an eclectic amount of stuff. So I have a lot of, so I have over almost 300 books on my wish list on Audible, and probably 100 of those came from this last month of watching you booktubers. You're going to be a bad influence on me, or a good influence, you know, whichever way you want to look at it. But I have a healthy wish list. I have I don't know. I'd have to look it up to find out how many books I have, but well over 100 books on my Audible account, thousands of books on my Kindle. From when I used to Kindle more than I audiobooked. And so I have a good amount of stuff, but not physical. And I have a lot of YA. I have a lot of romance. Not a lot, I guess, but I have a good amount of romance. I have some urban fantasy. I went through a huge urban fantasy phase, and I still like urban fantasy. Right now, I am really into fantasy. That's what I'm into. But I have a collection of things, and I can be an eclectic person when it comes to what I like to read. So I have a little bit of lots of different things. I have a stupid amount of cookbooks on my Kindle because I love to cook, and so I do that too. But that's what my book collection looks like. It doesn't look like much behind me. It's not a physical book collection, but it's still a pretty hefty book collection. If I had in physical book form all the books that I have on my Kindle and my Audibles account, it would be, I think, a medium-sized impressive library. I definitely have in the past few years spent more time rereading books rather than buying new books, so that's, I'm looking to get more and to expand, so my library will expand, but not that you'll see. but that is all the questions that I have on here, and I hope that you have enjoyed listening to me ramble on, and that you will like my video, subscribe to my video, leave a comment on my video, leave a comment telling me how you came across this video. I'm very curious. If you're a family member who's supporting me, thank you. Or a longtime friend who's supporting me, thank you, thank you. If you're a brand new person who's never met me before and you just looked up the Booktube Newbie Tag, comment, let me know. Let me know what you would like to, if there's other tags that you'd like me to do in order to give you a better idea of me. And subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing to do. It will help me out quite a lot, and it will give you an idea when I start coming out with to be read videos or reviews on things. That's it. And thank you very much for spending the time with me, for indulging me in my ramble, and I hope that this will be every bit as fun as I have imagined it to be in my brain, and I hope that it will be fun for you as well. And I guess that's it. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.